Hello and welcome to the most dangerous podcast. How are you, James?
Good evening. I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Jeff.
It's a late one tonight, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
That's my fault.
it is, yeah. Yeah, it's a late one, so let's see if we can get through it. But it sounds like a very, very exciting, interesting one, so that'll keep me going.
It's very exciting today. I've had a lot of fun with this one this week. So before we go down that route, though, I'll just explain a little bit about my week because I know you're very interested.
I am, yeah. How was your week?
I've been dead this week. So do you know, a few weeks ago I was quite ill.
Yes.
Well, I think that was the starter for this week because I've been so ill that I don't know. You can't even call it man flu. It was worse than man flu. I went to bed on Saturday night and I woke up on Monday morning. Yeah, I've missed a day. Somebody owes me a day actually somewhere. I don't know. Is there any, can I put in a claim somewhere?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse than being ill on like a day off.
Yeah, I know. I was really annoyed. Could have had a day off work there.
I thought you just weren't speaking to me when I was doing all that hard work on Sunday and sending you through bits of podcasts and just didn't hear from you.
Yeah, it was a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, I think.
I actually just thought it was a hangover, I'll be honest.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. I was on my deathbed. I thought it was curtains for me.
That's a bit more forgivable.
Thanks. So yeah, we've got an interesting one this week, Fraser.
Go on, what have we got?
Well, I was chatting to a friend earlier in the week, at the start of the week, and we were trying to establish our spiritual animal. Right? And we got into a bit of a discussion. For some reason, we thought that mine was a badger.
A badger? I think mine's like a dung beetle or something like that.
Dung beetle, right? Well, no. So I thought this week I'd do my kindred spirit a bit of a solid, and we're going to talk about badgers this week. So we're looking at the most dangerous badger.
So badgers can be dangerous.
Well, you're about to find out through this journey.
Because I've seen hundreds and hundreds of badgers, but I've never actually seen one alive.
So, well, this is a funny thing, actually, because I was going to ask this. You've jumped the gun. You do this every week. You always jump the gun with this. I know it's fine. I don't think I've seen a live badger either.
No, they always tend to be
like squashed on the side of the road.
Yeah, or that one where they're lying on their back with a big bloated belly and their legs in the air.
I don't think I've not seen that one. Right. Okay. Well, yeah. This week it's badgers, and it's going to be a roller coaster.
I honestly can't wait. I can't wait. Let's go.
Let's go. So I think we've already established you know what a badger is.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you describe a badger for me?
A badger is an animal size of a kind of small to medium dog. It is black with white stripe down its back. It was also, from what I remember, as badgers are very intellectual. Do you remember the Animals of Farthing Wood?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. I think my sister was really into it, and I was into it as well, but I didn't like to admit it.
Yeah, badgers tend to like reading books and stuff like that. From what I learned from that.
Yeah, like this is the thing. So they are in like popular culture, and they have been for years, and they're always portrayed as these sort of wise old, sort of willy animals. You know, like Wind in the Willows.
Oh yes,
yeah. So I can't remember what his name is. I think it was just Mr. Badger.
Mr. Badger, yeah.
Yeah, and then Harry Potter is one I come across as well. So it's the Hufflepuff logo. I think it's a logo. So so they've got different animals like Slytherin snake, Ravenclaw's a raven, and for some reason Hufflepuff is a badger.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got that, and then one for the kids, Bodger and Badger. Do you ever remember Bodger and Badger?
Bodger and Badger. I know it well, but I never watched it.
Didn't you? Well, It was just some dude who lived with a badger, and the badger was just obsessed with mashed potato. I know. Those were the days, you know.
Yeah.
We were living the dream back then. So, point being, popular culture, badgers are everywhere. You know, I think they're almost, part of British society when you think of badgers. Yeah, so as you mentioned, badgers, they're short-legged, little dog-like creatures, omnivores. So, do you know what that means?
Omnivore means that they eat everything.
Yeah, pretty much. So, eggs,
Meat and
meat
veg.
and veg. Exactly. That's what I was just about to say.
Sorry.
They're classed in a family scientifically called Mustelidae. So this includes sort of otters, weasels, ferrets. You get the picture. They're all kind of similar, aren't they?
Yeah, annoying little furry things.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd say they were annoying. A badger's never annoyed me.
Yeah, but weasels and ferrets, come on. I've never heard anyone being called a weasel in a good way.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, but yeah, so they sit in this sort of family of Mustelidae. So there are actually 15 species of badger.
Wow.
15. I know you don't think that, do you? You just think of the stripy-headed bastard that you see squashed on the side of the road. But yeah, there's 15 different types, 15 different species. And these are subdivided into 4 subfamilies, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to go down the scientific route because we all know that I can't read very well and I can't say scientific names. But basically, the way that they're categorized is the European type, the African type, the American type, and the Asian type.
That's incredible because I always just think a badger is like a staple kind of British animal. The British badger. I didn't honestly think they were worldwide. I thought maybe, France and a bit of Europe, and I didn't think they were worldwide badgers.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they're pretty successful species, to be honest. I mean, the only place they don't really reside is South America and Australia. But I mean, to be fair, they've got their own problems over there, haven't they? They've got some crazy animals in those parts.
Yeah, it's mental.
So apart from that, it's pretty much everywhere else. I mean, when scientists were first classifying badgers, there was another category that this other type of badger they were putting into, and it's called the stinky badger. Have you ever come across a stinky badger?
A stinky badger, is that? Oh dear God!
You can be honest.
Have I come across a stinky badger? No, tell me what is a stinky badger, James?
Well, it's a similar sort of animal, but it turns out that this classification of animal, are more related to a skunk than a badger. So
Right.
Scientists looked at it, and I think it's just like, it stinks. And they kind of went, oh, it's a badger. And then they decided a bit later on, no, it's more like a skunk. So yes, so stinky badgers aren't part of the badger family. So as I say, 15 species, 4 different types of subfamilies, and the one that I'm going to focus on today, it probably has like the sweetest, less dangerous name that you've ever heard in your life, but it's one of the African sort of families, one of the African species, and it's called the honey badger.
The honey badger.
Yeah. Have you heard of a honey badger? No. That was a serious question.
It definitely sounds a better prospect than a stinky badger.
I'm serious, man.
I don't think I don't honestly think I've heard of a honey badger.
Have you not? Right.
I feel like I might have, but I can't honestly say I have. So tell me about this honey badger.
Well, I'm going to park the honey badger for a minute.
Okay.
Just because when I was researching this, I did go back down a bit of a rabbit hole. Not a badger hole, a rabbit hole. And first, before we go and talk about honey badgers, I just want to discuss the classic European badger for a bit, because these are pretty dangerous too,
Mm-hmm.
So when I say badger, you think the normal standard badger, stripy-faced guy that hangs around, you see, and all the rest of it.
Until this evening, I thought that was the only badger. So
yeah, well, until I started researching, me too. So the behaviour of the European badger, it does differ from family to family, really. I mean, they all sort of live underground in sets, they're called. I was going to say burrows, but they're not. The sets.
The house is called a set.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It just, depending on the badger, it changes their different setups. So some of them can be solitary, just moving from set to set, home to home, while others are known to form clans.
Wow.
Yeah, so they can have sets in from any size from 2 up to about 15.
15, that's quite a lot of badgers.
Yeah, like 15 badgers just living in one place. As we mentioned, they're omnivores. They basically live off earthworms, insects, grubs, and eggs. Eggs if they can get their hands on them, I suppose. I don't think they climb trees.
It'd be like fallen eggs, or
yeah, I guess so. And like some birds in Europe nest on the ground, so they will kind of sort of hunt around for those and things like that. And in Britain, they are the main predator of hedgehogs. I know we're quite keen about hedgehogs on this show, but yeah, badgers are well into hedgehogs.
Well, I'm surprised a badger can take a hedgehog down.
Badgers are nails, mate, honestly. Yeah. So they are nocturnal, so that's probably why you don't see them very often. And they can actually run up to speeds of 20 miles an hour.
Wow, that's quite fast.
That is pretty fast, isn't it? That's what I thought. So imagine a clan of 15 badgers running at you in the middle of the night at 20 miles an hour.
It's just I remember recently that I always thought like Usain Bolt ran at about 45 miles an hour. He only runs in the 20s.
Does he really?
Yeah. When he wins those, well, not anymore, but when he used to win Olympic golds, it's in the late 20s, like 27 or something like that.
Right. So a badger's nearly as fast as Usain Bolt. Right?
Definitely in the 20s, because I remember looking at that.
Wow. I've just got this image of like about 20 odd badgers just sprinting towards me. I don't know if they make noises. I didn't see that. But
yeah,
you imagine they do some sort of noise.
That would be quite scary.
Yeah, it would. It'd be terrifying. So, keeping a badger as a pet or offering one for sale is an offence in the United Kingdom under the 1992 Protection of Badgers Act.
Really?
Yeah, they've got an act. They've got legislation.
I remember they were culling them not that long ago. How does that work with the Protection of Badgers Act?
So that comes down to, I think I do touch on this a bit later on, it comes down to bovine tuberculosis, TB.
Right.
I think because they were becoming a danger to other animals because of this. It's not their fault. They just had this sort of illness. So I think there was an order to cull them. I don't touch too much on it, but I think I mentioned it.
One of the good old British greater good things.
Yeah. Let's take them out. So according to the Badgers Trust, there's a trust. They've got a trust as well. This legislation, the Protection of the Badgers Act, it was introduced because of extreme levels of persecution.
You shitty badgers.
I mean, I don't want to upset anyone from the Badgers Trust, but what? So I had to look up like the definition of persecution. So the Oxford Dictionary says persecution is hostility, ill treatment, especially on the basis of ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, or political beliefs.
So they're out there as like a racist, homophobic badger bully.
Somewhere, yeah. Just we can't be having those gay badgers around.
Yeah.
So they've got an act. How good is that?
Yeah, well, no, that's impressive. Yeah, they've done well. Badgers are really coming up in the world.
Yeah, 1992. Someone thought, what we need is a protection of badgers. I mean, fair dues. Maybe they did. So talking about the protection of badgers, have you ever heard of badger baiting?
Do you know, again, it's one of those things that I think I have heard it, but I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, it's like a blood sport.
Right.
In basically where people get badgers to fight with dogs.
Wow, that sounds awful.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. I mean, it's outlawed. And it's been outlawed since the Cruelty to Animals Act in 1835. So thankfully, it's not supposed to happen anymore.
Yeah, it's quite a long time ago, that.
Yeah, nearly 200 years ago. So, so it was even recognised back then that it was awful. But unfortunately, it does still happen today. In the undergrounds, in the criminal gangs and things like that. Get a badger and a dog together and see what happens. I mean, even as recently as 2018, organised gangs in Ireland were selling badgers for £700.
£700. Are these
Yeah.
like hard badgers that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how would you train a badger. I don't know. I don't know whether they just found them.
You got to think some people just have nothing to do they?
I mean, £700 though. It's not bad, is it?
I mean, it's good for the guy selling the badger, but the person that's buying a badger for £700 to fight it with a dog, you think, get a fucking life.
Yeah, surely there's something else.
There must be a point where there's like a guy sitting at home thinking, nothing to do. I'm going to go.
I know.
Yeah. Wonder who'd win in a fight. That's a piss thing, isn't it? That's a Saturday night. I wonder who'd win in a fight between a badger and a fucking dog.
But I mean,
let's find out.
Yeah. Well, from what I've read, it's not one-sided. You think the dog would just have it every time, but apparently not. Badgers, it's 50-50. It's worth having a punt.
Give the badger a shot.
Yeah.
But is it always the same kind of dog? I mean, what if it's like a little poodle or something? Or
I don't know. I don't know. You get fighting dogs, don't you? Because they have like dog fights and stuff like that. So I guess it would be one of those, I don't know, pit bull or whatever they use for fighting dogs. I don't know. I didn't spend too much. It's just disgusting. I didn't want to spend too much time going into it, and plus I didn't want to Google it too much in case I accidentally ended up in Ireland watching some sort of badger baiting.
Who the fuck did I end up here?
Yeah. Last thing I remember, I was just Googling badger baiting. So some people eat badgers, Get your mind out the gutter. Come on.
Stinky badgers or honey badgers?
No, proper normal badgers.
Normal badgers.
So they were actually Native Americans and European colonists. It was a primary meat source back in the day. When they sort of went over there and did all that. Yeah, so the American type badger they would just eat because it was about. Badgers were also eaten in Britain during World War II and even in the 50s. It's not even that long ago. And I came across a book, actually, a cookbook called The Master Book of Poultry and Game. It was by a chap called Henry Smith. It was written around about 1950. Mm-hmm. It does have a recipe in there telling readers how to bake a badger.
How to prepare your badger for eating?
No, just how to bake it.
How to bake a badger.
How to bake a badger.
Yeah, I mean, back then when food was obviously short, I suppose they would reasonable to eat anything.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably it. He had rationing and things like that, and I suppose if you were living in sort of a rural area, you just think, well, why not? Just have some of that.
Wee guy comes home and his wife says, "Did you get the lamb for Sunday dinner?" Ah, well, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
kind of. Yeah,
I got something similar.
And Russia. We love Russia on this show, don't we?
Russia.
Yeah, they never let us down. Yeah, they still eat badger.
Do they?
In some areas, yeah, it's still widespread.
Ah.
But I mean, I think, yeah. They still do it. I don't think they do it in sort of like the sort of Western areas, I suppose, if you can call it that, like Moscow and St. Petersburg and all stuff like that. But I think in the more rural areas, further towards sort of Asia and stuff, I think badgers on the menu any day of the week.
Yeah, but I mean, the closer you get to Asia, the food starts to go a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, we won't go down that road. So yeah, would you eat badger?
Would I eat badger? I mean, I can't think of a reason why not to eat it.
Have you ever eaten badger then?
No. I mean, if I had a nice slice of badger, it was cooked well, I'd try it, yeah. I don't think it's something I'd get into.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm one of these people where I think I'm a carnivore, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're a carnivore, you can't go, oh, I'm not eating that. You've got to go in, haven't you, and just go, right, okay, well, I've got to give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. I mean,
it's only a bit of meat. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
You'd be hypocritical to eat a lamb or a chicken or a cow and not a badger.
That's it. I agree. Okay, so I am going to move on to the honey badger soon. I'm sorry, I know this has been sort of long-winded or whatever, but I just thought it was important to highlight just get a bit of a background on badgers.
I can't wait to hear about this honey badger.
Yeah, I know we are getting there, but I just want to do a bit of a short case study on a badger called Boris.
A badger called Boris.
Yeah. So, I mean, badgers generally, they're docile creatures, unless they're cornered or whatever. They keep themselves to themselves. You don't. Well, we both have said that we don't think we've seen one. I did come across one story which might be interesting to you, actually.
Go on.
I will paraphrase because I know I'm going on a bit, but this is actually a true story, right? So in 2003, a badger named Boris went on a 2-day rampage, attacking 5 people and leaving 1 man needing surgery.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So during Boris's reign of terror, he also forced 2 police officers who were trying to contain him and catch him. They had to retire safely to their patrol car.
Bloody hell. This is a badger?
Yeah, a manic badger called Boris.
It's just had enough.
Yeah. It's like you've seen that film, Falling Down.
Yes, I was thinking about that tonight, yeah.
Yeah, where he just like loses his shit. I think this happened to Boris.
Yeah.
So what appears to have happened is Boris had been, it says it, inappropriately handled. So I guess that means, I don't think he was touched up. I think it just means someone had like caught him and tried to keep him as a pet. But which we know is illegal because of the act that we spoke about earlier. Yeah. So, and I think so Boris lost his natural fear of people.
Right.
So instead of running away, which would be a natural response to humans for a badger, he just kind of stood his ground and thought, "No, I'm not doing this. I've had enough." Yeah. So he'd been hand-reared by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you wouldn't have thought. I mean, you're going to tell me about this honey badger, but you wouldn't have thought a badger could do that much damage because they're quite low to the ground. Stand on a chair.
But they're strong and they've got strong teeth and stuff. So, according to Vale Wildlife Rescue, this Vale Wildlife Rescue, they rescued him when he was about 1 year old,
right?
From whoever was keeping him, and they said that he'd never displayed any signs of aggression before.
Mm-hmm.
But whilst they were in his care, he was stolen. And then he was released, and he just went on this 2-day bender of just kind of mauling people.
Yeah,
and by the sounds of things.
Did he get help in the end, or was he just shot?
Mike Weaver, this chap who's the chairman, this is 2003, so 20 years ago. He was the chairman of Worcestershire Badger Society.
Right.
He was called out by the police to capture Boris, who was later put down by the vet. I think they mean Boris, not Mike Weaver. So I think Boris was put down, which is a bit of a shame, but
But yeah, see this as humans intervening and just plain fucking up animals' lives, isn't it? Just let them be. Oh, we can make this animal a pet, and now it's eating people and got killed, and it's not Boris's fault.
It's not. Yeah. So a lady called Elaine King, who was the chief executive of the National Federation of Badger Groups. Mm-hmm. There's loads of badger groups, isn't there?
Awful lot, yeah.
Yeah, people love. I love badgers, but yeah, people go well into it.
Do you know there was a boy in my school we called Badger because he had black hair, but he had a birthmark on his head that gave him like a white patch.
Oh, really?
And his nickname was Badger. And then we got into, I think, year 9, and he hit puberty and got a bit like sweaty, so we called him Skunk after that.
Skunk, yeah. Oh, he's a stinky badger.
His nickname was Badger because he had the little. So maybe he had an affinity with them, and maybe people like that start these badger societies.
Yeah. I think he got a bit angry one day and bit 7 people or 5 people.
Possibly, yeah. Maybe he probably hated badgers.
Was his name Boris?
I can't remember his name. He wasn't in my class. I can't remember people in my class's name, to be fair.
So this Elaine King, so as I say, chief executive of the National Federation of Badger Groups in 2003, she would go on to say that Boris's behaviour was quite unlike that of a wild badger, because a wild badger would have an instinctive fear of humans.
Right.
I mean, I've got a link to this story. I don't know if we can put it in perhaps some description that we have to this. So people
we can put it in the description. We've got our Facebook page as well.
Yeah. So it's worth having a quick read if you get a chance. It's not a long story, but it's just fascinating. There's loads more to it. I had to sort of paraphrase because, I mean, I don't want to go on too long about it. But it's one thing that concerned me is that, so the only reason that badgers don't go sick on humans more often is because they've got this instinctive fear. But what if that like one day just kind of changed? And like, you know, maybe they'd read the newspaper and saw this Boris had gone a bit mad and they thought, you know what? Let's all have a bit of an uprising.
Yeah, we'd be fucked, wouldn't we?
I mean, would it be like Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
They'd just go a bit mad and like Planet of the Badgers.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Badgers running society.
Yeah.
Getting in big cars and running us over.
That's it. And we're just all in, like, we live in under the ground. Madness.
Yeah. I know. Wouldn't have 15 of us in a little tunnel, though.
Right. So it's time to move on to the main event, the one that we've all been waiting for, the honey badger.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we've established that, okay, badgers seems to be, well, particularly the European one, but this is across the board. Like, you know, all the rest of them are pretty much got the same kind of personality. They're pretty docile. They don't like people. But there is one species of badger that absolutely tops their bill. And don't be fooled by the name either. You know, just it's a honey badger. It sounds really cute, but it's not. Right. So they live in Africa, Southwest Asia, you know, the Indian subcontinent. And funnily enough, that they're actually an endangered species.
Are they?
Yeah, even though they're double R'd, they're endangered. So after this podcast, don't go out kicking honey badgers to death.
No, you got to look after your honey badgers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you don't do that. I mean, to be fair, you probably wouldn't be able to anyway. But I'm just saying, don't do it. So yeah, it's slightly smaller than the European type, the one that we know and love. It's got more of it doesn't have a stripy face. It's got more of a buzz cut.
Buzz cut.
Yeah, yes. It's just got like a sort of bowl head.
Right.
Yeah, white bit on the top of its head. That's quite good. I mean, it's another omnivore again, but I mean, it is mostly carnivorous, so it does eat plants and stuff. Well, in fact, it raids beehives. Surprisingly enough,
it raids beehives.
Yeah. So bee larvae and honey eats that, hence the name.
The honey badger. It's got to be pretty hard to raid beehives, though.
Yeah. So it is. It really is. It feeds on insects, frogs, tortoises, tortoise, turtles, lizards, snakes, birds, and eggs. So pretty similar. And it's got a few predators.
Right.
The big ones: lions, leopards. Occasionally kill them, but they do tend to keep their distance because they're so nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you mean the lions keep their distance?
Yeah. The lions don't want to go
hell.
anywhere. Yeah. Because
they'd have to be really hungry to take one of these on.
Even then, I think they're probably not. They'd rather not. Yeah. So African tribes, there have been reports from African tribes that they do attack humans as well when they're cornered. And these tribes have reported deaths. I don't have statistics, unfortunately, but according to these reports, they are pretty dangerous.
I don't think there's a lot of statisticians in African tribes.
No, I mean that's the thing. Yeah, so they don't keep notes generally, but according to them, I mean, if they're saying stay away from that shit, you're gonna go. Good advice because they know their shit, don't they?
They do, yeah. Living in amongst it, aren't they?
Exactly. So, Why are they so dangerous? I hear you cry.
Yes, I'm desperate to know.
Okay, so here we go. Right, so the mainly, like, the main weapon is their powerful jaws, right? So
Right.
they just bite. I mean, so do European badgers. They've got a pretty nasty bite. So these are pretty similar. The other thing is they've got thick, rubbery skin. Okay, and it's like proper thick. So it's like dead baggy on them.
Yeah.
So even if they were kind of gripped at the back of the neck, so maybe a lion would pick them up. They can just turn around, like attack.
Right, yeah. So stretchy skin.
Stretchy, really thick as well, so like a lion's bite can't penetrate it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I watched this YouTube video when I was researching this, and they're just fearless as well. So they do not give a shit. I think there's a meme which is like a honey badger doesn't give a shit, and honestly, like they really don't. So in this YouTube clip, this honey badger gets cornered by a group of lions, and it just goes after him.
Yeah,
and it wins. And the lions, I think there's about 3 or 4 of them, the lionesses, and they just run off because he's just going absolutely bonkers. And the way that it kind of beats its prey is it goes after the groin.
The groin,
because it's small.
Yeah,
it goes to the ground. It goes under the animal.
That's foul play. That.
Yeah. It goes for the bollocks, like. Well,
nasty.
lionesses, not bollocks, but it goes for the badger.
Just, I don't know if this'll stay in, but I recently stayed in an alpaca farm, and apparently male alpacas sneak up behind other male alpacas and bite their bollocks off.
Really?
Yep. So that they whip their bollocks off, so that they're the only male in the pack that can actually
bloody hell.
breed.
I didn't know that. Oh god.
They've got these 2 big teeth that stick up. They haven't got any top teeth. We've got these big hook bottom teeth, and they sneak up behind the other males, go and like whip the bollocks off.
Oh my god, that's horrendous.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so god. So yeah, I mean this is pretty similar. I think it's more to do with because like the undercarriage of an animal kind of bleeds more than because usually animals have like sort of thicker skin.
Yeah.
Sort of on top of their bodies, and the soft underbelly is type thing. So they kind of go under and try and get the bit that'll bleed the most.
I know from having dogs and cats that they're always protective of their undercarriage because that's their vulnerable bit, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. And because these sort of badgers are so low to the ground, it's easier for them to get under, and I think that's their. They've learned this, which is quite worrying over through evolution. Yeah, and also they've got one final defense. If all else fails, they've got a stinky odor that they can produce in their anal gland. So
really similar to a skunk.
Similar to a skunk, yeah. So if all else fails, they just do a massive fart and it stinks, and then in the hope that the animals sort of run off.
Yeah, big pride of lions got balls to this. There's some fucking group of wildebeest down there.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, as I mentioned, it's so hard because of the thickness of the skin. Really, I mean, it can fight. It's got sharp claws, a nasty bite, but the skin is so thick that, as I mentioned, like it's very difficult to penetrate. So porcupine spines don't do any damage. Right. Even snakes, a lot of snakes don't have the strength to bite through it, so it can just attack snakes and eat snakes because it doesn't have any fear that it's going to get bitten. And even if it does get bitten by a venomous snake, so maybe a snake would manage to somehow break through the skin, it's immune.
It's immune
to snake venom, so it doesn't even matter. So they don't care, and I think this is why they're so ruthless and they just don't give a shit. Is because they're just tanks.
Yeah, so they're just knocking about, not giving a fuck, just saying.
Yeah, and like I say, so if a lion or hyena or whatever was to pick it up by the back of the scruff of the neck, the skin's so baggy, it's hanging down, like when you put those kids in those bouncers,
yeah,
and they're just kind of like just dangling, before they can walk and stuff, and they just sort of kind of spin round. It's a bit like that. So they just spin round in the animal's jaws and then just whack it in the face. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, they're absolute nails. They just, and they're if they get cornered, they're so aggressive as well. They just do not back down. They're amazing animals. I absolutely urge you, or anybody who's listening to have a look on YouTube at like a honey badger attack or something like that. Just type it in. These are my favourite animals. They're absolutely fascinating.
They sound incredible, but there's a little bit of me that's thinking, why aren't we making stuff out of that skin?
yeah. They're like the Iron Man of badgers.
Yeah. You should be making like boots out of badger skin.
Yeah, but no one can get close to him, that's why.
True, yeah. And it sounds like they've got a lot of spare skins. Maybe we could cut a couple of yards off and not kill the animal.
Yeah, well, you can be my guest and go and get one, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I don't think I will. Some simpleton to do it.
So, as I mentioned, so African tribes have recorded sort of people dying, people being attacked by these honey badgers. So I did try and look up to see if there were any reported fights or deaths between humans and honey badgers. I'll be honest, I didn't find that much.
Right.
But I did find a report of one man who lived in Botswana. And he tried to take down a honey badger with a bow and arrow. Yeah, and like this was just a massive mistake number one, because like I say, the skin is so thick that like an arrow can't even penetrate it.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so he just ended up winding the thing up. So he had this badger cornered, and he was trying to shoot it with a bow and arrow, and it just didn't take him down. And unfortunately, during the fight, the man, in such a panic, mistakenly shot himself with the arrow and died.
I don't think that's unfortunate at all. I think that's no less than he deserved.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that scenario. Like, how do you shoot yourself with a bow and arrow? Like, it's that action, isn't it? Like, it's away from you.
He must have been using it wrong.
Yeah, did it deflect off like some pots and pans and ricochet back into his face? Or I don't get that.
Maybe. So, it's a bit like, remember when Brian Harvey drove over his own head?
Yeah, after eating, was it 3 or 4 baked potatoes? I think he's got a blue plaque, hasn't he?
There's a plaque on somewhere on this spot. Brian Harvey drove over his own head. Oh, you'll never top that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This guy's trying his best, or he tried his best there. Like, how do you shoot yourself? I mean, I didn't get the full. So it was one of these websites, right? And it gave you a snippet. It gave me a snippet of the story, and then to get the full article, it was like, do you want? You have to sign up. Put your website in here.
Oh yeah.
Put your email address in here. And your bank details and that code on the back of your card, and then you can read it. So I was a bit like, I'm not doing that, particularly after
3 months down the line. It's easier to get a new email address than to try and unsubscribe.
Yeah, exactly. And then going off, I mentioned the other week, or I did, I was I've just had experiences that just prompted me to go no. Yes, so I was reading about this guy from Botswana, and then it did lead me on, as you go down the rabbit hole and click on link, it did lead me on to another interesting article, which was titled "How to Survive a Honey Badger Attack." Wow. Yeah, so I thought I'd give that a quick read, just for the listeners out there, if anyone's in close proximity to a honey badger right now, this could save your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for us to be educational and, think
just
about
inform people.
Yeah. None of our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a short article, so I'll just whiz through it.
Go for it.
Yeah, so it says, if you're caught by surprise by a deadly honey badger, don't try machetes, arrows, or spears. Because these methods will only infuriate the honey badger and make him more likely to kill you immediately. Yeah. And, the only known method to survive a honey badger attack. Number 1, deliver a bullet directly to its head.
Jesus.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Oh, so you need a gun, and you need to be a crack shot as well.
Yeah.
So don't miss, because that will piss him right off.
Bloody hell! The only way so you can't outrun it. No, I suppose they run.
Yeah, you
like
probably can. It was a bit.
Yeah,
it might have been a joke article, but I thought it was quite fun.
Yeah.
I mean, can you run 20 miles an hour?
Can I?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, you can't outrun it then, no.
I don't think I can run. I can't remember the last time I tried. I think my knees would crumble. So, basically, listeners out there, if you come across a honey badger, leave your machetes and bows and arrows and stuff like that in the car. Take your gun and deliver a bullet right between its eyes.
Yeah. It's only got a small head, so you have to be a good shot. In fact, just emigrate. Just move.
Emigrate,
somewhere
yeah.
else.
That's it. Move away from the honey badger.
Just let the honey badger move in. He's the dad now.
Yeah.
He's married to your wife. Your children are now his, and you just move away.
Just lie down, go limp, wait for him to finish. Will I have to come out?
I know what you mean, but maybe.
Been a few innuendos tonight.
Right, so that's pretty much it. It's one of those episodes, I think, where we probably can't go, oh, is this the most dangerous badger, blah, 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 because it's just been funneled down this route. There's badgers, they're all pretty dangerous, I suppose, because wild animals are dangerous.
Yeah, this one definitely is the most dangerous, though.
Well, yeah. I haven't given you any options because there aren't any other options. This is just an absolute beast of an animal.
Yeah.
It's hyper aggressive if it gets cornered, and it's pretty much invincible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like I say, if you do get an opportunity, just spend maybe 5-10 minutes, just go on YouTube, have a look. These animals are absolutely incredible. My new favourite, without a doubt.
Yeah, sounds good. I think I will try and stick a couple of videos on the Facebook page, and people can go and have a wee look.
Yeah, I mean, so I suppose the other alternative is Boris. So, which one's more dangerous? The honey badger generally, or Boris the badger, who bit about 8 people in 2003?
I see. I think Boris was just having a really bad day, whereas these honey badgers just sound like they're dangerous all the time.
Yeah, I'm going Boris.
But it's like the most normal people can just have one of those days where you want to
it's like
kick your
Michael
kid
Douglas
across the living room. Yeah. And yeah, I can't say that.
These are a species of. It's hard to say that. I don't want to talk myself out of this. It's hard to say that they're dangerous because I don't think they actively go out looking for trouble. They're not sort of walking around the streets going, "Go on, fight," or what. I think they're just they're just well hard.
Whereas Boris did go out looking to cause some shit, didn't he?
He did, yeah. But again, I think that was down to circumstances as well. But I don't know. Like I say, I think it's probably not fair to draw conclusions here because it's one of those episodes where we've just kind of gone down a path. But I'm just really happy that I had the opportunity to research it because I had an absolute whale of a time doing it.
It was good, yeah.
This is so interesting, these creatures.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I've learned about badgers.
Good. So, I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I have.
Good. Like I say, I did too.
So that was Badgers, and this has been the Most Dangerous Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Fraser. See you next time.
See you. Take care.